where does this come from? This comes from a cause. This is not given to you. This is not forced onto you. This is not, but this is not given as a test to you. This is what you actually are experiencing as a result of what went ahead. That is called the truth of the origination, truth of the origination of suffering. Let's say, for example, I plant medicine in my garden. What will I reap? If all the conditions, for example, my soil is fertile, soil is good, my seed, medicinal seed is good, it is not burnt, it's not cooked, it's perfect. And then I see that it gets proper moisture and sunlight. And then also time is a factor there, that I have to wait for the time period for that to come into blossom. When all of those things are complete, when all of those things are assembled together, what do I have? The flower of medicine. I will never have poison coming out from my ground. And on the other hand, if I planted poison in the ground, if all these conditions are ripe, all the conditions are assembled, I cannot say, please don't grow, please stop growing, I don't want you. No, you can't stop it. It will grow because that is what is called infallible, interdependent origination. That is, it's bound to grow. So if you plant something, it is bound to, in matter of time, when everything is assembled, that is going to come forth. And this is the result of what has actually ripened timely here at this moment, because of the seed that we had planted. And this is how Buddha actually defines samsaric existence. We are not coming here out of the blue. We are not created by. Now that's the biggest statement that Buddha actually made, through compassion. He had nothing to fear about. He didn't fear about, it's not that he wanted to go against the faith and belief of those people, but he wanted to open the eyes of beings so that they would understand. That's why the first turning the wheel is called the teachings to eliminate or to correct the wrong views of sentient beings. So in this way we actually see now the truth of origination is the seed of the fruit, which is the truth of suffering. So this is how samsara works. You have seed. If you have seed, then that's the result of that. So, of course we can go into depth of understanding origination. Origination, as I kind of told you, very in a very rough manner. If you have seed, if you have ground, and the time factor and so forth, these are the factors of growth happening. So Buddha goes on to great detail of that origination. So if we have some negative, and where does that negative actually grow? Now just as we are growing medicine on the ground or in the ground, this negative is planted within that mind. And when those conditions, what are those conditions? Now the fire, heat, moisture, sunlight, time and all of those things come together, then the blossoming of that happens. This is how he goes on to. And in this way, he not only talks about outer interdependence. So the outer interdependence is, we were saying, from seed it will sprout, from sprout to stem, from stem to leaf or bud, and from bud to flower, and from flower to fruit. So that kind of, it goes on like that. And then the conditions are, heat, moisture, and timing, like that. These are the ways. And so if you go on like that, you will actually see there are lots of factors into that. So one turning into another step like that. Inwardly, there is also our, how do we actually come into this life form? Then it begins from what, it kind of, let's walk back now. Why we are actually born? Buddha says, we are actually harvesting the fruit of what we actually were craving. We are actually, birth is the harvesting of the fruit that we were actually craving. But what actually causes craving is our consciousness. Our consciousness and all this label, all this labeling of nice, good, bad, and so forth. It's called kuntak. It's called, imputation, or we kind of label, we kind of actually give names and all of those. But where does that come from actually? It comes from mental perception. Mental perception is actually from, the mental formation, or it actually, mental perception actually goes back. So mental perception, then, then the mental formation, and then ignorance, like that. So ignorance here means, so this is the way of how actually Buddha mentions that growth.